When a large comet flies a bit too close to Earth, all hell breaks loose as everyone tries to stay safe. If you were in the mood for a disaster movie, you could do a lot worse than Greenland. At first, I didn't realize how bleak things would get because the comet that is flying a little bit too close to Earth is named Clark. And for some reason, a comet named Clark just doesn't sound scary. Now, this isn't one of those wham bam explosion fest movies like Armageddon or Deep Impact or Volcano or Dante's Peak or 2012 or any other disaster movie. Now, sure, it has its fair share of explosions and stuff, but it does a much better job of building the family dynamic and focuses quite a bit on the characters. That isn't to say it's an overly dramatic or award-winning movie, but for the genre, I find myself caring about the characters and rooting for them more than most other movies in the disaster genre. Gerard Butler plays the protagonist, and he has been selected by the government as an essential U.S. citizen, as he's a structural engineer, and future generations are probably going to need structures, so the plot of the film revolves around him trying to get his family to a government shelter where they can be safe from the comet. But as you can imagine, there aren't nearly as many spots in that shelter as there are people who want to get in there. And the people who weren't selected are just trying to save their families too. But on top of the general theme of everybody on Earth is trying to get our spots in this shelter, the family dynamic is not so black and white. Butler and his wife clearly have something going on between them, and their young son may have something going on that might keep the government from letting them into the shelter at all. Not surprisingly, because of all of the pandemonium going on, things do not go smoothly for Butler and his family. The CGI effects in Greenland are serviceable, but they didn't knock my socks off. I did, however, watch the scene at the beginning of the movie with my mouth hanging open, much like the characters as they were watching the news story on TV of the comet. This movie just happens to be about a comet, but the plot would have worked just the same even if it were a zombie movie, for example. Now, while Greenland isn't likely to go down as an all-time classic disaster film, I think it's up there with those heavyweights of the genre. It just happened to come out in 2020 when people were not really in the mood for a world-altering disaster movie. Bonding with your son. Hugs. Looking terrified for the entire movie. Running for your life. Watching news reports of a comet named Clark.